Nicole and Lindsay, it is great to meet two fellow Pittsburghers. Welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're so excited to be on here.
Equally so. Like I just shared, I'm a fellow Pittsburgher. I've always really loved and admired the Riverhounds from afar, growing up as a soccer player. And I'd love to hear from the two of you, just as we start this off, what has been your marketing career trajectory that it actually led you to the Riverhounds? And I feel like I had a brief stint working in pro sports as well. Actually, I don't think I told you that. It's such a dream job for so many people, and especially being able to do digital is definitely a dream job for so many people.
Yeah. You just want to talk about like how we kind of landed here, I guess.
What was your marketing path that led you to the Riverhounds?
Yeah. So I graduated from Pitt in the beginning of 2017. From there, I worked for a small chiropractic clinic and was the marketing coordinator there for about 2.5 years. But I was the sole marketer there. So I was kind of the entire department. And I'm sure, anyone in marketing kind of has had that situation before, that you're the marketing team. So I was there for about 2.5 years. From there, I moved to a company who is one of the top real estate and commercial development companies in Pittsburgh. And I was the social media and communications manager there, or specialist there, for about a year. And then for about another year, I was in home and business security and digital marketing. And then this opportunity opened up and I jumped on it. I coincidentally played in Riverhounds tournaments growing up when I was younger. One of my really good friends growing up, she had her birthday party at one of the Riverhounds games before Highmark Stadium was even a thing. And we got to meet the Riverhounds when I was probably 10. So it kind of come full circle. So, I had to jump on it when I saw this job posting. So.
And what's your official title?
I am the marketing manager. So I do a lot of the strategy and the media buying behind it. Lindsay and I work together a lot, obviously, with the social media stuff. But Lindsay, when she can talk about all of the social stuff that she does and the app and stuff, but I do a lot of the paid social. So a lot of the paid advertising falls on my plate. And Lindsay kind of does more of the communications and organic content and the day-to-day stuff that, you see on social.
Just to jump in, that was Nicole speaking about her past, so everyone can identify their voices and face if you're watching on social. But Lindsay, love to hear as well what brought you to the Riverhounds.
Yeah, so I graduated from Allegheny College in 2020. So I am still early in my career, but my interest in working in sports started in 2018. I had an internship with the Buffalo Bisons. It's a AAA baseball team. They're the affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm from Buffalo, so that's where I was doing that. And then that kind of sparked my interest in sports. And then after college, once I graduated, obviously graduating in 2020 was not ideal. So didn't get to jump into what I wanted to right away. So I started off doing marketing at a cybersecurity company. Like Nicole said, I was their entire department. They didn't really have anyone else doing that. So I was kind of just doing what I could, wearing many different hats. And that just wasn't the career for me. I've never really dreamed of being in cybersecurity. So I stayed there for a year. And then the Bisons, the baseball team I worked for, actually called me back to work for them full time for the remainder of the 2021 season. So I was doing that. I was in the video production department, which is what I majored in college. So I was working in the press box, operating the cameras, playing videos on the Jumbotron, kind of just doing a little bit of everything. I got to direct the press box for a little bit. And then I knew I wanted to move beyond Buffalo. So I was looking for jobs while I was working in baseball. And it was a very long search, a long and painful search, as most people experience. But I found the job with the Riverhounds. I've always wanted to live in Pittsburgh, and I never knew I'd be working in soccer, but I really like it. It's a lot of fun. And I've been here for almost a year now. So
What do the two of you like most about your job?
There's a lot.
Yeah, I would say, so I'll start with what is the hardest part, which kind of makes this part better, but the hardest part is definitely the schedule. We work 6 days a week. We work every Saturday, sometimes on Sundays, obviously longer days. So that can get tough. But what helps is that I definitely have the coolest job out of, anyone that I know. My office is a stadium. I can go out onto the field whenever I want. We get to know the players and the coaches pretty well. Working the games is really cool. So I'd say the overall experience is it's definitely a dream job. So it makes all of the more difficult stuff worth it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Like we always say, like driving to a stadium for work for your 9 to 5, like that is not a terrible gig at all. So that makes it super special. And just seeing the moment that everything that you worked so hard to do come together. So that's for us is game day. So seeing a packed stadium, or we see, the revenue records getting broken because of all the hard work that us and our team did together. That it's just so rewarding that, I think everyone that's had like a successful marketing campaign has felt that, but seeing it in person, seeing thousands of people coming together to enjoy what you do every day for work, it's really, really rewarding and really awesome. So
in your specific lane of work of marketing at the Riverhounds, I'd love to hear in your opinion, what makes a good marketer and what allows someone to thrive in marketing in the pro sports industry.
Sure. I think that being a good marketer, you have to, it's not just a one and done. You get your degree and you apply that knowledge, because I'll be honest, like I graduated like coming up 6 years ago, and I can say that there's not a lot of my degree that I'm like, the foundation's there. I learned that in school. It was great education, don't get me wrong, but none of like the actual day-to-day things like paid social media ads, how to optimize an ad and report on all of these things that we have to keep track of to make sure we have a successful campaign. I didn't learn that in school. So you gotta always be willing to learn, because, as Lindsay knows with social media, like what can be worked, we could have a great account, and then all of a sudden the algorithm changes and we're not getting any post views. So you have to constantly be learning. You have to constantly be creative and outside the box, and you have to act fast, because there's trends, there's memes, there's everything. You got to be on it, and you can't ever really be off your phone, off the internet. You got to kind of have your mind going for marketing all the time. Being a creative person, I've always been creative, so I love that. But you got to know what you're signing up for when you do it, especially with pro sports. So on top of the crazy hours, it's hours that you're not here that you're probably still thinking about how to get more people in the stadium during the game. So I think you just got to be driven, have to always be open to learning, and you have to be creative in this industry.
If I can ask a question before, maybe Lindsay, this is more of your lane of, are you on TikTok right now with the Riverhounds?
Yeah, we are. So when I got here,
just to jump in, can you share a little bit of, what was that thought process as an organization? As to your point, Nicole, 6 years ago, TikTok wasn't even a thing. It would have been Musicify or Musically, whatever it was called back then. So that's a totally different beast and animal to tackle. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that in the original question too, as well, Lindsay.
Yeah, so when I got here in October, the TikTok account already existed. I think an intern had created it. My position was open for a few months before I got here, so no one was really full-time tending to the social accounts. So the TikTok account had a few posts, but it was inactive for several months. So I kind of had to restart, I guess. And it's definitely interesting. I'm 24, I'm not very old, so I can still get along with the trends, I guess. And, me and my friends are using it, but at the same time, I think it's even a younger audience, and sometimes it's hard to grasp, what's trending. And we've learned throughout the league that TikTok doesn't really translate to ticket sales, which is kind of our overall main goal. Whatever we're doing is to sell tickets and to get a packed stadium. So it's kind of a balance of like, how much do you prioritize it? Because for me, marketing is a lot about showing people, what you're about, giving the team a personality. And I think TikTok's a really great avenue to do that, because we can do funny videos, we can do trends, everything like that you already see on there. But I'm doing a lot of different things at once. So I've kind of got to prioritize, like, how important is it to me to take the time making that content when it might not take off. And if it does take off, it's still not going to translate into ticket sales. So I would say it's definitely, it kind of falls to the bottom of my list if I'm super busy. It's a great thing for interns to help with, because they're in college, they're using it more. It's kind of a good thing to do in your downtime, which we don't really have a lot of that, especially in season. So we have an interesting relationship with TikTok, and I think it's something we're still working on.
Who is your avatar of that dream, customer that you want packing that stadium, if maybe those people aren't on TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take anyone. We just we love having a packed stadium. We've got lots of families, younger people, older people. We've got different groups coming in, whether it's a summer camp or an organization that's helping place refugees in Pittsburgh. We've really got a huge range of fans. And obviously, we try and optimize who are our ads targeting, or who's going to buy the most tickets, things like that, who's going to spend the most money on concessions. But I wouldn't say we have a specific fan that we're looking for. We're really trying to diversify our audience and just get as many different people as we can into the stadium.
Yeah, and I would say to Lindsay's point, like, we don't really have a, one ideal person here, because we do have like some
I'm sure there's a bunch of people.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have some bigger like main buckets though, if that helps. So like one of them would of course be a diehard soccer fan, but we probably already have had them at the stadium. If they're a diehard soccer fan, they know the soccer team. We've been here since 1999. So we also have those people that are entertainment seekers. So people that are following influencers and blogs, think people that go to music festivals or beer fest or new restaurants that are opening. That's a big market for us.
I'm thinking of this like gentleman in Lawrenceville with the funky mustache.
Exactly. That's him. That's our guy.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another big one is families with younger kids. It's such an affordable family night out, especially in relation to some of the other city-based stadiums. We have, just as great as a view, a great atmosphere, and I think families really do enjoy coming out. So probably kids up to, I would say, 10 to 12 or maybe around that age range. So I would say like families, entertainment seekers, soccer fans, and then just people that are looking for something different to do in Pittsburgh. It's kind of like a hidden gem. So that's what our job is, to make it not so hidden. But I think we have a lot of way to go, but I think we really are getting there with kind of identifying our fan base and our buyer personas and our different ticket buyers and what they look like.
Are you seeing any trends in Pittsburgh, just maybe with the youth soccer movement? Now the U.S. men's national team is actually respectable and they're going to be in the World Cup. Do you see citywide trends of soccer on the rise? And it doesn't hurt too that the Riverhounds are the only competitive pro sports team in the summer in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot that we have an academy right within the organization. It's the Riverhounds Development Academy. And they're growing really fast over the years. They've got programs from, I think the youngest kids are like 3 or 4. It's a little grassroots programs just for kids to kind of run around on the field, up to the competitive level. Kids are, playing through high school and then going D1. So that's been a really great avenue for us, because obviously those are soccer families. When the kids aren't playing in tournaments, they'll come to the games. They've got friends who they can tell about the Riverhounds. So that's definitely been a good avenue. And I think it's growing, whether that's for cost purposes, there's not a ton of equipment involved, or other reasons, maybe they don't want their kids playing football. There's kind of a million different reasons why soccer is growing, but I think it's starting to become more popular in the US for a number of different reasons. And that's obviously helpful to us.
Something that was brought up a few times was the idea of focusing on marketing mediums that actually drive your end goal, which is ticket sales. Where are you finding success either on or offline with marketing?
I know it's not going to come as a surprise to you when I say digital and paid social. So paid social ads are our sweet spot. Like our return on it is probably, I would say, like 300 to 400%. So we're optimizing our budget. When I came in, we already had some billboard spots, so that was more for like the brand awareness aspect. But we're at the point in the season, we're more than halfway through that. We've done a pretty good job with getting who we are out there, and Pittsburgh's first soccer team, Riverhounds, Station Square. And so now we're kind
jump in to make sure I heard that correct. So part of your advertising plan and marketing is brand awareness, and then at a certain point of the season, everyone's aware and you need more direct call to actions to buy now.
Yeah, it kind of, and it's kind of a lot of our organization for the front office is newer, like us. So a big part of as a front office was the brand awareness, because there were obviously some gaps and holes in staffing and through the pandemic and everything. So we're kind of like starting fresh. So we kind of just wanted to get our name out there. This is a cool thing to do in Pittsburgh. We think we did a pretty good job at doing that. So now we're kind of optimizing all of our ad spend more towards digital. We're looking into some Google and remarketing ads, all the fun stuff with Facebook Pixels, and we can do that with our ticketing platform and all of that stuff. But we've really been seeing a really good return on digital and paid social, and it's easy because we can measure it with all the different codes and tracking and UTMs and all of
those are a lot of fun.
The fun stuff that people don't realize that goes into it. But we're focusing really heavily towards digital and mostly paid social. So
is there any offline medium you're using that surprised you that, wow, this brought in some degree of results or awareness? Or is it just hard to track, like when you put a billboard up on Mount Washington?
It's hard to track because, I've always been told like billboards, 7 words or less. So that includes your link or your QR code. And you really don't want people scanning QR codes if they're driving on 79. Yeah. So it's really hard to track. So we don't really know.
Right.
And not to say that those things didn't work as far as, they see billboards for a month, they finally look it up and buy tickets. But like you said, we can't track that. So not to say that they're not successful, but as far as direct conversions from our marketing efforts, digital and paid social, we track that heavily. So I don't know if I have an answer for that question, to be honest.
No, I was curious, as I heard in a different podcast interview, different business model, but direct mail was actually really performing well from them. And they're investing more in direct mail than Facebook ads at the moment.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that with even being able to utilize like QR codes now. Like they were a thing, and then they kind of just were like, they existed. But now, and I don't know if it's ever since the Super Bowl commercial with the QR code that was bouncing, I feel like companies are using them extensively. And now all these different platforms that you can create the QR codes and track them and track the scans, when, where. So I think that makes sense with the direct mail, because like if you can throw on a QR code there or like a bit.ly link that you're able to track, I think that's kind of bringing like the digital age of marketing into the traditional means of advertising. So it's not super surprising, but I like that outlook a lot, because I think it's a big opportunity for a ton of different businesses to use that.
Can you talk a little bit about in your advertising campaigns? And Lindsay, I have a few questions for you that are in my mind. Are you using video at all in your campaigns? And if so, can you talk a little bit about how that's being effective for the brand?
Yeah. Google video. Yeah. So, for example, we did one that, well, just to give a little background, like we're kind of like the content creators too. Like Lindsay, we have a nice video camera, so she'll get a lot of our videos. We have a in-game presentation and video coordinator who helps us edit everything. So just a little background for that. But we did put some like hype videos, and one was like a Google search that we had to get approved by Google that said like fun things to do in Pittsburgh this weekend, and then it was just all clips with like,
Oh, that's a great search to have.
Yeah, so we got it approved by Google and whatnot, and it has a really, really good like click through rate. Yeah, whenever we run it. So I've been trying to play around with that and the different audiences and doing some split tests with, video and graphic, but video is king, I feel like. So and then showing it's a good advertising mean to show people what we are and what it's like here. We can kind of like bring the game day atmosphere and the stadium experience to them in video form. So we try to utilize it as often as possible. I know Lindsay, she can talk more about it, but she tries to do as much video as possible on our social media.
Yeah. Can you share, Lindsay, of anything that you want to share? And also what's on my mind is what makes an effective video that actually creates engagement for people.
Yeah, so I don't have my hands much in like the advertising part, so I leave all of that up to Nicole. I'll give input and everything, but for video, that's kind of my, not specialty, but it's what I like to do, because I majored in video production at Allegheny. So I spent a lot of time making documentaries and feature films and things like that. So editing is definitely a crucial skill to have. I think it's really helpful in my role. My role didn't require any type of video experience, but it's helped me a lot, even with making like a simple TikTok or an Instagram reel or whatever you're doing. It's just helpful to, know what angles to get, know what content is going to be exciting, make sure it's edited well. It seems like pretty much everyone these days has some type of video editing skill when you look at how many TikToks are out there and Instagram reels and all of that. So it's definitely something you just have to be doing. It's not really an option, I think, to not have video content. And there's different scales within the league. Some teams are using, professional videographers, or they're outsourcing and they've got a whole production company that's working for them, or it's someone like me who just kind of does it whenever they can. So I definitely prioritize it. I try and do at least one player interview every week, just to kind of keep an open line of communication between players and fans. They're talking about, how did the last game go? How is the upcoming game gonna go? How's the team feeling? Just kind of a general check-in, I guess. And that's just great to kind of let the players express the personality a little bit, let the fans get to know them. Maybe they choose their favorite player, and that's the kind of thing that can translate into ticket sales. If someone is consistently seeing their favorite player on our channels, or they're seeing funny content and maybe they don't care about soccer at all, but they really like the team, they think they're cool, they look up to them, whatever it may be, they could either buy tickets, or if it's someone who's younger, convince their parents and just, tell them a little bit more about the team and maybe come out to a game. So video has been super important for me. I think with the rise of all these new platforms, it's kind of a must, and it's what people pay attention to the most. And you've got to make it quick too, because, the longest TikToks I think are 3 minutes. I saw that they might go up to 10 minutes. Hopefully that does not happen. But obviously it's all really shorter, quick content. So it's kind of like a billboard where you've got to get your point across, or the, peak of the video, whatever. You've got to get that across pretty quickly, because, I can't speak for other people, but I'm going to scroll away pretty fast if a video doesn't catch my eye right away. So it's definitely a whole process, and it's really something I've put a lot of focus on since I've been here, because I think it's really important.
Do you offer any coaching or support to the players of how to manage their profiles, or is that completely up to them?
Yeah, we do not. We talk to the players often. Usually it's more the communications department, because we've got to work directly with them. But yeah, we don't really have any say or control over what they're doing. It's kind of up to them how they want to utilize it. You know, some of them have brand deals and will post every single day. Other guys haven't posted since 2016. So it's kind of, and some guys don't even have social channels. So there's kind of a very wide range of usage, I would say. And, you know, then it gets into with the Players Alliance, they've got rules on, you know, we can't use a single player for a marketing campaign. You know, if we're trying to sell something, we've got to use at least 3 players. For obvious reasons, you know, because we can't use their likeness to market for free. So there's guidelines with that too. So it's kind of a slippery slope when you get into, you know, telling them what to post or suggesting things like that. So we don't do that very often.
For the players who are actively posting and engaging with their community on their own terms, can you talk about how that's a really powerful tool for the Riverhounds?
Yeah, so a lot of these guys have played all over the country and all over the world. So they've got followings. Some of them are pretty big. I would say some of them just have a couple thousand. Some just use it for family and friends. But I think some are not necessarily like influencer like, but you know, they're trying to get followers from all over the place. And the guys who are doing that usually make it very clear that they play for us, you know, posting in-game photos, posting photos of them on game day in their game day outfits, showing up to the stadium, and they're always tagging us or talking about the team. So that definitely helps because they could have followers from somewhere else who didn't know anything about us, but now that this guy has come to our team, they're going to follow us there too. So that doesn't necessarily translate into people physically showing up to our games, because if they're all over the world, you know, they're not going to come from Trinidad and Tobago to see us. But I think it still helps with our overall following. And, you know, once our following goes up, then brands are more interested in working with us. So it's kind of a whole cycle. So short answer, it does help when players do post about us and engage with our content.
What does marketing look like for the two of you when you're not in season?
So Nicole has an
That's
experience.
a good question. I don't know either.
Yeah.
With both of you being so new.
Yeah, she hasn't experienced an off season yet. And my first couple weeks, besides, you know, the season ending, I basically started in the off season. And that was definitely tricky because I was still learning about my job, so I didn't really know what I should be doing. I think we're both looking forward to the off season this year. Obviously, the season is awesome and it's the best part of the year, but the off season we can kind of workshop things, take care of some bigger projects that we don't have time for right now. There's just a lot that I think we're planning on doing. You can speak to it.
Yeah, there's just so many things that we, like I said, all of us being newer. There's so many things that we all have, you know, endless creative ideas saying that's an off-season project, that's an off-season project. So we will say that one of our president, he started last week. He's actually from the Orange County Soccer Club in our league.
I saw that.
So he started last Monday. So of course he has a million great ideas too. So we have just a lot of work to do in the off season as far as pretty much building from the ground up. So it's going to probably be busier than regular season. So, you know, we have a lot of stuff with the merch store coming up. We have season ticket holder benefits and plans, restructuring, any type of ticketing system, and, you know, everything that goes smoothly on game day during the season is going to be a product of the off season. So, we're excited for it, a little nervous and overwhelmed, but it'll be busy and we'll be very productive, I'm sure. So
so I have a few more questions before I get into more of like a rapid fire for the two of you. This is something I was just curious about is where do you see the Riverhounds going in the next decade? And what I mean by that is, you know, the Steelers, it's win the 7th Super Bowl. With the Pens, it's, you know, win a NHL championship again. The Pirates, I don't even know, just not lose 100 games. with the Riverhounds, is it, spread the love of soccer throughout the city of Pittsburgh? Is it elevate to the MLS? Is it, bigger stadium? What do you think the bigger vision behind the Riverhounds is going to unfold into?
Yeah, I mean, as much as we'd love to say MLS, we obviously don't really have much pull in that direction. But as far as, the Riverhounds, like where do we see ourselves in Pittsburgh? I would love to be considered, like we're a huge sports team, sure, sports city. We have the Pirates, the Steelers, the Pens, and then people kind of think of Pittsburgh sports and that's it. So like I want to be up there. I want people to experience and appreciate soccer like they do pretty much every other country but here, which is insane to me. So kind of bringing that love for soccer here and seeing how great of an atmosphere it creates and how strong of a fan base it can be, just as strong as any of the other pro sports teams. I'd love for people to kind of give us that recognition in our city and be seen as a top contender in the Pittsburgh sports market, which is kind of hard when you are up and competing against who we're competing against. Not really competing against, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's only so much attention. The Steelers have a monopoly 365 in the city.
But I'm not complaining. We love the Steelers too, or I love.
Oh yeah, I'm a diehard Steelers fan.
Yeah, and I think like speaking in soccer terms, winning a championship is obviously the goal. We've been getting closer every year. Obviously, the COVID situation kind of screwed us up, but we've been having a strong year so far. We've made the championship, or we've made it into the finals the past couple of years, made it into the playoffs. Haven't ever made it to the final round, I don't believe, but we're getting closer, and I think people are kind of building their hopes up. And I think in terms of business, winning the championship would kind of be something that gets us on the radar of the people who don't know about us, the people who think there are only 3 professional sports teams here when there's really 4. And we're on certain news channels. We'll make the 11 o'clock news. They'll show our highlights, things like that. But I think winning a championship would kind of take our status to the next level within Pittsburgh.
I love looking at box scores or just the standings, and Riverhounds always seem to be, well, I guess this year there's only 2 divisions, but there were 4 in years past. And I think you're definitely top 5 right now, correct?
Yeah. So there's Eastern and Western Conference. So top 7 make it to the playoffs. We just had a really tough loss on Saturday. We were in 4th place. We played the 3rd place team, and we lost to them. So that put that team in 2nd and moved us down to 5th. But our next couple games should be really good games, definitely a potential to do well. They're home games too, which always helps. So hopefully we will continue to move up and make it to the playoffs and have a good run.
If you were to look back on your marketing career, can you share a marketing fail that happened and what you learned through that experience? And it could be at any position, not just the Riverhounds.
Oh, wow.
Any position.
Probably a lot. Yeah.
That helps. I would say for me, because we were talking about here, and there's certain things like we'll put out a flash sale and it doesn't sell too many tickets, things like that. But luckily we haven't had like a gigantic flop necessarily, but I would say my biggest fail is when I was working for the cybersecurity company. The CEO desperately wanted to send out physical mail to everyone. And I spent a lot of time handwriting on the envelopes, folding the papers, like very monotonous, extremely time-consuming tasks. And I think we sent out 500 letters and got 1 response. So it's kind of a massive waste of time. And we knew other people in the company I was working with knew that would happen, but if the CEO says to do it, then you do it. So it's kind of a bummer that we spent so much time doing that, but I don't work there anymore. So
yeah, I would say mine, my first job, the chiropractic office. So they were around for about 20 years. And then the owner, who is still a really good friend of mine, she wanted to medically integrate. So she wanted to get into like stem cell therapy and all of these really competitive markets. And we completely rebranded the clinic and changed the name, new logo, new branding, about 20 new products or services all at once. And it was my first job. I had no experience. So I'm rebranding this 20-year-old clinic. And, you know, some things were successful, but it just kind of showed like you can't just out of the gate just push all of these new products and have one marketing person in the role, because it's so many different segmented audiences and different target audiences that we're, you know, some was weight loss, some was stuff for arthritis. So like completely different. And, you know, looking back now, you know, I was 6 years younger with no experience. So there's a million things I would have done differently, but, you know, there were a lot of flops, but obviously, like Lindsay said, nothing big has happened here. Not to say that it won't, because that's marketing.
We're too new. It will happen.
But yeah, so.
Well, I can share mine, and I have a few last questions. Our tickets, I won't name the baseball team, but the ticket sales were so low. Guess what our campaign turned into?
Was it free tickets?
Yeah, the marketing campaign turned into go to every Walmart in a certain radius and put free tickets on every car that you can find, and then hope that sales are made up through concessions and parking.
Wow.
Hey,
well,
I feel like every sports team has probably been there in some capacity.
Yeah.
So love to hear on the flip side, what is a marketing campaign that you're proud of, whether Riverhounds or career-wide?
Yeah, we kind of you know, we're talking through some of the talking points that we were going to have on the podcast today. And we both felt pretty strongly. We had our kids night. So we had a very limited budget pretty much. So a lot of it was through like trade, or we'll, you know, kind of like promote you on social media in exchange for coming out to kids night and helping, you know, our fans and the families experience something different, like for, you know, the special promo night. And we made it really successful with less than, I don't know exactly the amount, but less than what we planned on spending, because we were able to say, hey, like, we'll promote you in this way. You can hand out collateral at our game in exchange for this. So we worked really, really hard on getting, you know, like a bounce house. We had all these different games, duck pond. We had food trucks and stuff out there, music, bubbles, superheroes, princesses. We had Captain America and Pittsburgh Ironman, who had a Riverhounds chest plate out. And it was great.
Yeah.
We broke an all-time revenue ticket record that night. That was on July 30th. So we'll consider that a success. And we spent a lot of effort and time and energy on it, but for, you know, as far as cost and what we actually put into it, wasn't a ton. So we think that was super successful, and we were super proud of the outcome of that. So
so my last question today is, what is the best purchase you've made, either personally or professionally, in the last 6 months for under $100, and why?
I think
you said personal or professionally. So
what do you mean?
Like for example, this. Sorry.
Well, I would say for professional, we were talking about how, so we had a Pride night as well in June. And we did a basket raffle for that. So we went around to different organizations, just asking if they want to donate a basket or gift cards, whatever their kind of specialty was. So we had those baskets, and then we were able to build up the raffle a lot with
like rainbow
kind
tickets,
of a table set up, and we had staff and interns working there. And then we put out obviously promotional items for that as well. So we got a lot of that stuff as donation, and it was hugely successful. And we used that money to donate back to the Pride organizations we were working with. So that had a pretty big benefit, and obviously a lot of effort went into it, but not a ton of money went into it, which was good for us.
Awesome. Nicole, do you have a same or different answer?
Yeah, well, I was talking about, when we were again talking through this, said that that was a really good example for, professionally spending less than $100. Like, we put together a merch basket and we got some rainbow heart stickers, some rainbow tickets, rainbow bags for them to put it in, nothing that cost a ton of money for us. And the outcome of it was being able to raise a substantial amount of money for the organizations that we were working with. So yeah. And then I was going to say, personally, a good planner is like what I need to get my job done.
Do you want to give a shout out to any of your favorites?
Yeah. I love Erin Condren, and my current one is the home edit from Target. It's great.
Awesome. Well, before we go, Nicole and Lindsay, I just want to give you the opportunity to give some shout outs to the Riverhounds, any social website that if someone's soccer fan, if you're listening in Pittsburgh, how can they learn more?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. All our usernames are Riverhounds SC. Our full name is Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC. So if you type that in anywhere, you'll be able to find us.
And our website is riverhounds.com.
Yeah, our website is riverhounds.com. We post on social pretty much every day, at least try to. And then we live tweet the games as well. So if you can't make it out to a game, you can follow along on Twitter. There's also broadcasts for every game on ESPN Plus. And then if you're in Pittsburgh, you can watch on 22 The Point. So we've got lots of different ways to support. And then obviously coming to our games is our favorite way for our fans to experience it. Oh yeah. And we have a mobile app as well that launched in March of this year. So that's great for kind of personalized notifications. You'll find out things on there a lot sooner than you would on social because it's coming right to your lock screen. So that's been fun running the app. So that's a big one too. And that's in the App Store just under Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC.
Perfect. Well, Lindsay and Nicole, thank you so much for your time today. It was an honor speaking with you and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah,
thank you so much.